Hi, and welcome to Rain or Shine Gardening. I'm Katie, and today I'm going to my pumpkin patch. I am ready to take out some of my pumpkins. They're getting powdery mildew. The vines are kind of drying up. They are over it. So I want to harvest my pumpkins while they're good. Some of them are orange and ready, and some are still working on it, but I'm going to harvest them, most of them, I think. I'll see if I have any that are too green still. But I'm going to harvest most of those today. My pumpkin patch, one of the areas I'm growing my pumpkins is behind me in my berry raised bed. So up there I have some black satin blackberries and I have some raspberries that are putting on their fall crop. But I do have the pumpkins underplanted up there. And then I have some others on the working side of my garden where my pop up greenhouse is. And I have a little raised bed there where I was growing some. So I'm going to go through and see how many I can fit in my basket today. I think I'm probably going to be able to fill this up pretty well. What I planted earlier in this season were spooky pumpkins, and those are by Epic Gardening Seeds. And spooky pumpkins are supposed to be kind of a cross between a carving pumpkin and a pie pumpkin. So most of mine are very small. They're just about softball size, but that's okay because I think I have enough that we'll be able to make some good pies. So our plan is to make sure that they ripen. We'll cure them a little bit, maybe store them for a little bit until everything's ready to go. But we'll probably process them, which means that we'll bake them, scoop out the meat, puree it, and then we'll freeze that puree and be able to use that for our pies that we're going to make later in November. So today, my goal is to see just how many pumpkins we can harvest from our garden, and I will take you along as I fill up my basket. All right, I think this first area of pumpkins are now harvested. We ended up with kind of a varying size. So I think this is probably our biggest one here. And let's see, what is it the size of? I don't know. It's bigger than a softball. It's a pretty decent size. And then our smallest one is probably one like this. And that's maybe the size of a baseball. But we ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pumpkins. So not a huge harvest, but also not too shabby considering last year we didn't get any pumpkins. So this was definitely an improvement. And next year I think we will strive for a few more. But this year doing the hand pollinating definitely helped us get some more. I'm wondering if maybe continuing to feed them and putting some fertilizer on might actually help with trying to get them to be a little bit bigger in size. But I'm pretty happy with this. Now we're going to go over on the other side of the house where we have some more pumpkins and see what we can add to the basket. Okay, let's see what else we can add to the basket on this side. Oh, there's some little tiny ones and some decent sized ones. Let's see what we can find. All right, here is my pumpkin harvest for 2025. This is it. I've gone through all the areas that I popped in some pumpkins here and there around my garden. And even though they're getting hit by powdery mildew, I was pleasantly surprised by these beautiful little pie pumpkins that I was able to pull out of the garden. And I told myself before I went out that I would be super excited if I was able to get a dozen of these, and I was actually able to harvest 16. So, sweet 16. I think we have plenty to roast up in the oven, make some puree, and then end up with some really great pies. And going out and harvesting these today got me kind of in the harvesting mood. So, I am going to go see what else I can find in my garden really quick. I do think I have some eggplant for sure. I found a recipe I want to try, so I want to get that harvested. And then, yeah, I'm going to see if there's anything else. There might be a cucumber and a couple other things. I know there's a lot of peppers. There's always a lot of peppers. They did really well this year. And we used through what we had harvested before. So I think I'm going to harvest some of those and so that we have them to make some meals throughout next week. And I'll see what else we can find. There's bound to be some surprises too. Okay, I think what I was noticing is that my eggplant is getting top heavy because it is getting the eggplant are getting so big. So I think what I'm going to do is harvest these. Oh, that's tough to cut through. Wow, that is really pretty. Look at the striping on that. Just going to set it in my pumpkin box for now. I think I've got one more big one on here that I can probably harvest. Another really pretty one. I don't see anything else on here. There are so many green tomatoes though on here. So probably won't be long and we'll have a lot more to harvest. In one of my recent videos, I did show that my basil had bolted pretty badly. So I did end up cutting the basil out of this corner of this bed. And I just gave it to the chickens to snack on as some food. But it did open this up a little bit more, and then I can see things like all of these peppers I have right here on this plant. So I did notice that there's some more bug pressure than there has been. So you can see something's been eating on some of these peppers. So I'm going to make a little pile and take that to the chickens. But I've got a lot of really good size peppers, so I just want to make sure to harvest them so that we can use them before they go bad or I'll go to the bugs. Some of them are starting to turn color too, which tells me they're ready to be picked and used. I was pleasantly surprised with how well the peppers did this year. I tend to fertilize them pretty well. And I did buy them from starts from Al's Garden Center, which is a local family operated garden center in my area. I think they have 4 total sites in the Portland, Salem, Woodburn area. But I don't have a great setup for seed starting. So I do usually wait until they're discounted. Actually, this year, my kids' school for a fundraiser sold a gift card or gift certificate to my local garden center that was good for vegetable starts. So what I did was I supported their school and actually purchased my vegetables at the same time. So it was a win-win. There's a pretty good handful of peppers here. Filling up my basket. So this is an example of bug pressure. That pepper just about had it. I think there's one more pepper plant around the backside. I'll see if I can get to it. I think that's a pretty good harvest of jalapenos. That's what was in this bed here, those plants. And I took the other basil out. There was one on this side just as big as this one here where my basket is. But I cut that out and gave it to the chickens for a treat today. And then they're also going to end up with some extra things from the garden, like these overripe cucumbers and some more peppers that had bug holes. But look at that harvest. I'd say that's pretty good. There's not too many left now on the bush. There's some that will continue to grow for a couple more weeks and we'll be able to use it. But I would say this is a pretty big chunk of my harvest. All right, I think I am done for tonight for my harvest. I started out just looking for pumpkins in my pumpkin patch, which I found quite a few to fill up my basket and hopefully make some pies in the future. But then I figured I was out here anyway. I could grab another basket really easy. I might as well harvest some other things that are ready in the garden. So I did find these three beautiful eggplant, and I have a recipe I'd like to use. And I think they might be a little young, but I heard if you harvest them earlier, they don't have as many seeds and they're a little easier to work with. So I'm hoping those will be good to use in my eggplant recipe for some baba ganoush. To try that out. Have some snacking peppers. So these are made specifically, well, they're called snacking peppers because they don't have very many seeds at all inside, and you can pretty much just munch on them and snack. And I have a bunch of my early jalapeños that were ripe and ready. A lot of them have that striping on them, so they smell pretty spicy. So that'll be good. And then all kinds of serranos. I have quite a few that have turned red. So those will be great. Probably won't use all of these either, so we'll give some of those away. I found one lonely cucumber that I'm actually going to use maybe in some salads or something. But like I mentioned in my previous video too, cucumbers were a fail this year. Did not harvest hardly any of those, but plenty of overripe cucumbers for the chickens. And then we had some cute little surprises. So, some little baby boo pumpkins. These are little white decorative pumpkins. They're so cute. I ended up with three of those. And then I have some decorative gourds too. So, I think I might include these on my kind of kitchen table, maybe around a flower arrangement or something. But those are super cute. So, glad those worked. Those were kind of a late season addition to my garden, just thinking, hey, they're here, they're cheap at the garden center. I might as well plant it and see if it grows. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those, I think, that I harvested. They're quite little, but they're very cute. So, yeah, what a surprise. I started out for pumpkins today and ended up with this whole basket. So, now the challenge is to see what I can make out of all of this weekend. So I think that's it for tonight. Rain or shine, I will see you next time.